All right, everybody. You can probably hear us. And we're just getting up and going. And hopefully you got audio. So I know chat is up. This is a live video broadcast and chat member only, our beloved patron members. And let us know if you can hear us and see us. I'm going to bring the, it's going to be a little delayed, but I will bring the video feed online here. Video portion. So let's do this. And all right. So once you can see us and hear us, then please let us know in the group chat there.
I know they can hear us. Got a 5 by David Thompson.
Nice.
So he's reading us 5 by 5, I think is a saying, military saying.
Audio is up. Hopefully we changed a few settings, and I know you're all patron members in here. So you one of the settings is you have to be a subscriber now. And I know most of you are probably you're a patron member, so I assume you're subscribing. But if you're having any problems, you got to hit the subscribe button on the channel.
Reading us 5 by 5.
There we go. So I'm going to pause that. It looks like we're getting it all. Yep, video good. We're getting it back here too. So very good. Thanks for your assistance on that, guys. All right. There you go. That is what we're going to be talking about today. It is going to be a super fun episode. Shop pay installments. That is right. Got to get the shop pay installments. They are on the store now, guys. A lot of you asked for them. Law-abiding biker store, you now have the option to buy products now, knowing you can pay in 4 equal payments. Interest-free. It is over. Law-abiding biker store. You wanted it. We brought it. A lot of people taking advantage of that system. Hey, Bikeaholics. Zero 3D has a wide variety of innovative products for your Harley-Davidson. A brand new line for the all-new Honda Goldwing named Gold Strike. Top quality, affordable chrome lighting and comfort products. Zero Gold Strike are the motorcycle LED lighting innovators for CAN bus plug-and-play system compatibility. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and check out our full line of Zero 3D products. We got us a voicemail here. Let's do this.
I'd just like to say that your information on your removal of your ignition switch was really good. Better than anything I've seen. Thank you for the help. I appreciate it.
No, we want to thank you for leaving a voicemail. And that voicemail was from one Richard Gaither, I believe is how you say it. We didn't know when we played that voicemail, if you have headphones on, it's actually, there's like nice little relaxing elevator music in the back. We weren't until we threw the cans on.
Was that what he was listening to as he was recording it? Or do you think he added it on purpose?
No, I think he was just listening to it in the background, just chilling like a villain.
Little elevator music. So relaxing, getting zen.
Getting zen. I feel zen, dude. You saw both of us. It's funny until you put the cans on. I never heard that. What he's talking about is, we've mentioned on here before, but to give it context, is our video that's out on YouTube for free. If you ever have problems with your ignition like we did here, and I spent several days figuring out how to put that complete ignition if it gets off, if you take your ignition switch out, which we have videos on, and you get it misaligned on a Harley, it's a bitch. And, but I found out they just want you to buy a new one, but I did find out over several days how to actually completely take it apart, adjust it, put it back together so it's aligned, so you can save yourself a ton of money. And that's one of those videos that you don't watch it till you need it. And when you need it, you need it. You know what I'm saying? That's people. We get so many comments on that video because people are like, holy shit, you just saved me.
And there weren't any real good ones out there. There was some that show you how to use the alignment tool and all that, but not what to do if you screw it up and get the tumblers out of whack like I did on your bike.
Right.
That's what I'm here for, man. I'm here to give you content.
It is that we've done plenty of that around here.
Equals content.
We've done plenty of that. Thanks for being here, guys. This is a live video broadcast and chat. And thanks for the voicemail. lawabidingbiker.com/contact. Right over there, you can leave a voicemail from your computer, phone, from anywhere in the world. It's free, and we love the voice feedback. This is your platform, too. We love feedback, and we like that kind of stuff, too. So thank you so much, Richard, for leaving that message for us. Want to ride longer? Are you tired of a sore and achy ass lurch?
You know it.
Then fix it with a high-quality butt buffer seat cushion. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store. Check out our full line of butt buffer seat cushions. We got us an email. We do. Who sent this email? That's what I'm looking for.
If you scroll down and maybe it'll show.
Maybe.
There
Oh, look at that.
Well, Jeremy. At least got his first name.
Jeremy. Okay.
I got mail. Yay! I got mail. Yay!
Hello, he says. First, I have to say, you want to read this? You just read it.
Hello. First, I have to say that I have seen some of your videos on YouTube, and I'm loving them. You are entertaining and very informative. We call that infotaining. You create awesome videos. You're the reason I run Dunlop American Elites. I caught your video on them, and I tried them out. I fell in love with them. Not sure if I can ever change from the Elites now. Thank you for putting those videos out. I have a question for you, providing you do not mind me asking. I have a 2005 Ultra Classic, and it has a factory brake setup. I'd like to upgrade my entire system. What I have works okay, but they are soft for my liking. I feel that they have to be applied more than they should to do their job. I'm a rider that uses both brakes and rely heavily on my front brake. I want them to be more responsive. I am not sure that if just upgrading a newer and braided line, reworked calipers, maybe refresh master cylinders as well, will be enough to resolve my issue. Maybe there needs to be a disc upgrade as well. Maybe the complete setup needs upgraded parts. Do you have any suggestions for a better setup or any videos on the subject? I looked at your video section. Unless I overlooked one, I did not see anything on what I am after. Thanks for your advice you could offer. Thank you, Jeremy.
It was a nice one I pulled because it's you that answered it. You probably don't remember this.
It is. So my response is, Jeremy, we haven't done any brake upgrades yet. I can tell you that you'll get better response from braided lines because they're stiffer than the rubber stock lines. Adding new gaskets to your master cylinder and flushing the fluid will also give you improved braking. I would honestly try these remedies before dumping a bunch of money into new calipers and rotors.
Nicely played. All right. Thanks for the email. lawabidingbiker.com/contact, of course. Same place our previous gentleman there, Richard, left a voicemail. All on one page, lawabidingbiker.com/contact. Oh, yeah, once you've had Rick Rack, you'll never go back. The ultimate motorcycle luggage rack solution. Forget those messy straps and bungee cords. Go strapless with the Rick Rack quick attach luggage system and quality bag. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and get hooked up now. Here we are. If you guys want to know what that was playing up front, if you're listening in regular podcast format, this is a live video broadcast and chat for our beloved patron members, one of the many benefits we give. But we were showing them, and we were playing a segment from a recent Sturgis trip, Pan America ride and review, which is what this episode is going to be about. So that's what was playing up front if you're listening in just audio format. Welcome back, you freaking bikeaholics. This is the podcast for the motorcycle majority of the Big MM, also known as the
99%.
That is right. Large and in charge of the motorcycle scene more than any time in history by being here, whether you like it or not. I know you like it. You're part of what we call
the hashtag Biker Revolution.
There you go. Lurch and I have one question for you before we get started. What are you waiting for, bikeaholics?
Mount up and let us take you on another wild-ass ride.
There you go. Ryan Erlacher here, your host of the Law Abiding Biker Podcast and your
high-tech redneck.
There you go. You guys know the man, the myth, the legend. Oh. That came from the bowels of hell. Deep.
My loins.
From the bowels, dude. All right.
Tender loins.
You got a... Oh, good. You moved your laptop. Did you see that up there?
No.
Oh, I was just going to ask. Oh, it's still there.
Do I need to move my laptop?
No, you just put the screen down a little bit. It's right in... Or you can pull it closer to tilt the screen a little bit. This back this way.
Dude.
It's in the camera. There you go. It was just, it's blocking the
Now I can hardly see it.
Well, you can pull it closer to you. You don't have to do it that far.
No, man, I don't have my readers, so I can't have it too close to me.
So we'll have to,
old,
we should have checked that before we started. But it's fine.
Sorry, everybody.
It's good. It's good. We're good.
My apologies.
All right. So we got an awesome episode for you guys here today. We are fresh off a trip that we took, both Lurch and I. We're going to get in deeper to it, but it was a trip. Harley flew me. I paid for Lurch's trip down there.
Thanks, boss.
Absolutely. I needed a production guy, but Harley flew me down there, lodging, meals, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. To test ride and review the Pan America adventure bike, Harley's first adventure bike into the market. I've done some videos on the YouTube channel. We've talked about it. It took several years to finally come to market. It's here, and I got to go down, and not only we're going to talk about the trip, but we're going to talk about a ride review. And of course, we rolled out a video. I'll just up front. We rolled out a video this morning. It was a big one on that trip, which we just got back, and then I went on vacation. So I was on family vacation. I did some of it on vacation, tried to write some of the script, and then I spent the last 3 days all weekend, 50 hours in edit for that video. It is on the YouTube channel. So really, if you're obviously here, I know you're patron members, and a lot of you have already seen it because you subscribe and you get notified. When you're listening in regular podcast format to the rest of the audience, if you could please do me a favor, it's been out less than 12 hours and it's snowballing. And we appreciate it. We wanted to do a really good job. We're going to get in a little bit deeper on that. Wanted to do it law-abiding biker style, my style, the way I do videos. It's a lot of work, a lot of production we did down there. But I want it to be a good video and something quality for the audience, and infotaining, absolutely. And so we're going to talk about that, but the video's out. So what I ask is please share it. Please, guys, if you can do that for us. If you like the video, please grab a share link, post it all over your social media, whatever you want to do, email it to people. We really want to get that video out there. We worked really hard on it. And of course, this morning, some reps texted me, and they took notice of it. And so we want to just, the way we can help you and this audience is what we've always done, and that's grow. And if we get opportunities like this in the future, it just helps me get these things that you guys want them. So many people wanted me to review the Pan America.
Let us help you.
Let us help you.
Let us help you. But in order for us to help you, we need you to help us.
Very well. Nicely said.
Thank you.
Nicely said. So yeah, it'll just help me bring the content that you guys want to see. It gives me access to things so that we can continue to do that. Again, end goal is to bring that information back in our way, in our format to our audience, the way we do it. So share that, like the video, all that, hit some comments up on there, guys. Would really appreciate it. So with that said, let's do this real quick, and we will dive right in. Now, we appreciate everybody that watches us and supports us through likes and shares and all that kind of stuff. We love our sponsors up front, but of course, we love our beloved patron members, and they are certainly sponsors of this episode. So we want to thank a few new ones.
We've got Patrick DeBenedetto of Winson, Colorado. He is a top-tier member. Scott Curtis of Westbury, New York, and Dave Plassick of Westminster, Colorado.
Bobby Paul of Louisville, Kentucky, Jackson Chartier of Libertyville, Illinois, and Charles Clark of Weston, Mississippi.
Kevin McDaniel of Leesburg, Florida, John Trappini of Cobb, California, and John Lebusky of Snohomish, Washington, right in our backyard.
And finishing it up, Tony Lort of Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada.
Oh, Canada. I say, did I type that one wrong?
I'm just messing.
Okay.
I love our Canadians. Love our Canadians up there. Yeah, sure, you betcha. Gib Morrissey, top tier, and Tom Golek of Poland, Idaho. Lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon. That's right. Pledge a certain amount per piece of content, no risk to you because you can put a monthly cap. There are benefits such as stickers and t-shirts. You get into that private Facebook group, troll-free zone, access to live video broadcasts and chat like this, podcasts early, months before everybody else gets them. Of course, access to our premium videos up on request and access to those awesome ride, meetup, and events that have now taken a new life, and unsanctioned events going on all over in that private group, which we need to do a follow-up episode on that, on the most recent one.
Oh, yes.
We were going to get Chris Lezak on the horn at some point and do an episode on that meetup. So anyways, lots going on there. Patron community continues to be our number one supportive community here to keep us going here at Law Abiding Biker Media. So thanks for being in here in the private chat. We'll be, this is going to be a fun episode. If you guys have questions, we're going to try to, it's just me and Lurch today. We're going to try to scroll those and he'll try to grab some if you have to copy and paste them into a note or something. If it's, so I want this to be interactive. If you guys have questions and it's something we didn't cover, or if it's a question and I think I'm going to cover it, we'll just cover it, but there may be
make notes.
Thanks. There may be something that comes up that Dan Nielsen's in there. Thank you. Yep, Matt Haywood. Hey Trap. I don't know who. I think I know who Hey Trap is, but hey, just a reminder, and we don't care. You guys can use your handle if you want, but there is a way on YouTube. I know a lot of you have done it over time. You can actually change it to your actual name. That's up to you. We don't require that, but it helps us know what patron members each time that we're talking to by name, because we like to mention you guys and we want to know who we're talking to. But again, if you can't do that for whatever reason, that's okay. But a lot of people don't know that you can actually just go into your YouTube account, change it to your actual name. They did that quite a few years back to give that option. So, all right. Whew. You want to talk about this at all, Lurch? You want me to just dive in?
Dive in.
Okay. So you guys may remember we started where this all came about. Now, we've got 8.5 years of content here on the YouTube channel, like over 600 videos. We've got over almost 300 podcast episodes. God, every one of those also has an article on the website. So we've worked really hard. And you guys know, I praise Harley where they deserve it, but I've also never been afraid to be critical of them. That continues. But they noticed us after like 8.5 years. And I don't think it's that they didn't notice us. I think that they got a new complete overhaul, like I've said before, and I've mentioned that as just their marketing. So anyways, I'm not going to go down the weeds, in the weeds too much on that. But clearly, from our experience, awesome people. And they've got a new marketing strategy. They're coming into the times. I don't want to make that sound bad, but it seems like they're coming into the times and they're reaching out to YouTubers like me and some other channels and realizing that this is where their audiences are and they're giving it a good whirl. And we'll talk a little bit about their learning this process. Let's just talk about that now. So where it started, let me do where it started and then let's talk about what they're learning too.
Okay.
So, and up front, guys, if I know you guys know where to find the video, I'm not going to pop a link in the chat. I will in the show notes for all the regular podcast listeners. If you haven't seen the video, I'll put it in the show notes. You definitely need to watch it. It's a complete trip. It's more than just a review video. It's a story, kind of a mini doc. But where it all began is, you may not remember this, but originally PR Lead just was sending emails and I got an email in our inbox and it said, hey, we want you to be part of the Pan America
live
launch.
Release. Yeah.
And I said, I responded to him, Matt Swedlin, really good guy, Harley public relations lead. And I just emailed him back at that time and I said, oh yeah, dude, I was already, I do all the live launches. I'm always there. So I was already going to be there and I appreciate the opportunity. I've already got it ready to rock and roll in the morning. I got the link up. And so then we did that and we started talking and he asked me if we wanted to do it. He realized we had a podcast. I forget how those conversations went, but he started learning more about us. Clearly they were trying to learn about the YouTubers. And then they found out we had the podcast. Well, Lab episode 274, I know you've all listened to it. You'll definitely want to, if you're at all interested in the Pan America or direction of Harley. That's a good one.
Especially all the specs and whatnot, because we had Mike Case, one of the engineers on that. So he gave us a lot of really good information as far as the specs.
Yep. And Paul James, wealth of knowledge, also on that episode. And yeah, so 274, lawabidingbreaker.com/274. We did that podcast. I did a lot of research for it, tried to do it very well because it was important to me. I really wanted to learn about this bike and the opportunity to have Harley people right here on this podcast to bring to you guys. It's not for me. I want to bring, because I know you guys would be interested in hearing from a chief engineer, right? As well as am I. I mean, I'm interested too, don't get me wrong, but I want to bring it to you guys in some format that makes sense. So we did that. We released it. They really liked it. They really liked it. And we got talking a little bit more. And then several months, it took a while to schedule that podcast just due to schedules, but we were patient. We worked through it. And then how long was it before? Then all of a sudden we get an email and they said, hey, we want to fly you to Sturgis. We want you to come down. We want you to test.
Just a couple of months, wasn't it? It wasn't a whole lot of time that passed between the podcast and the invitation to come down to Sturgis.
Yeah, the Sturgis invite, we only had like a month and a half to prepare, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
it was pretty
quick.
It was a quick turnaround. And the interesting thing is, because I do believe that, I really do, you guys believe that things happen for a reason, and I got invited and it was certain dates, and I looked at my calendar and I'm like, because you guys all know I'm still a full-time Leo on top of doing this. And it was the exact dates that I already had off for vacation. And we weren't leaving my family till Thursday, and we were going down Monday and we were going to be back. Thursday. Or we're leaving Friday.
Yeah.
So Monday through Thursday, 2 of those days, travel days to and from Sturgis. So just 2 days in Sturgis, Deadwood City. And I was just like, lined up with your family vacation. I just like, God, this has to be like meant to be. It has to be a sign of sorts. And my wife looks at me, and I know you did too. Yeah, we got to go.
Yeah, we're going.
We were going. And I'm like, okay. I had a lot going on. It's been stressful. I was teaching a motor school right up before a 2-week motor school, but it was meant to be. And so I just want to let you guys know I wasn't paid to be down there. In fact, I paid for Lurch's flight down there and all that. And it doesn't change anything about this channel. And even in that review video, you'll see me talk about some cons. And I think that's what they want. There was no contract. They never asked me. It never came up. They literally just want to get YouTubers down there to give a fair review of their equipment. That's what I got from it. I got nothing else from it. No talk, no asking how we were going to do it. They didn't ask anything. They just ride the bike. We're going to guide you. We're going to set up everything. Here you go. Follow us. Do as you need to do. So let's talk about, maybe you can talk about what they're kind of learning from our discussion with Matt.
I think they're realizing the importance of social media influencers, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, whatever. And I think they'll still continue to use the stars like Jason Momoa. But they've realized, I think, bang for the buck, you can get, out in to a lot of people. And you can get in front of audiences who's they're listening to their YouTube personality that they know, love, and trust. And I think they're really understanding the value of it. In fact, we were walking, they put us up in Deadwood. We were walking down Deadwood, and it was really hard for us to just get to dinner because people recognize you. So they stop you, and one of the Harley reps says, wow, you guys are getting recognized wherever you go. It's kind of hard to travel with you.
Yeah, right.
So I think that was really an eye-opener for them. You making notes over there?
Well, I am. You can keep talking if you want. I have to just abruptly stop.
It was really apparent that they're very passionate about this motorcycle and very knowledgeable about it. You were saying that there's no contracts or anything. They just put this thing in front of us, let us play with it. And luckily enough, we had one of the engineers there that's now switched over to dealer readiness lead, Josh Richardson. That dude was a wealth of information, but they just loved talking about it, and they gave us all kinds of specs. And what I've learned from the podcast with Paul and Mike, and also now talking with these guys in Sturgis, is they are really interested in the feedback that their owners, that their riders have. And so I have no doubt that they'll take in the criticisms that you had, which, like you were saying in the video, were pretty nitpicky, but still criticisms. And hopefully, they'll take that moving forward and make some change.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if they didn't.
Right. And if you listen to episode 274, you'll hear some of that about how much market research they did to make sure this bike was right and what riders wanted. And I'll go in a little bit deeper. What Lurch said here is, talking to them, they really wanted to learn. They're used to, which, we all know the magazine stuff is kind of dying, and kind of your traditional journalists are dying a little bit too. Sorry if you're listening and you're in that field, but it just is, because there's these mediums now, these YouTube channels and podcasts, which are much more intimate, as far as that goes. So they were learning a lot too about, this was only their second one, by the way, guys. The first one they did was months before, and it was on the Sportster S.
Yes.
And we hadn't really been in contact with them on that one. They only invited a couple YouTubers to that one, and then it was probably successful. They realized it. So this one, they ramped it up. And so they're learning. And I'll dive into that a little bit more when I go. Remind me when I'm out on when we're talking about when I went out and actually rode it.
Yeah, they seem very receptive to catering to what you guys need. And they did a good job during the event and saying, hey, if you need time, you need to be here, you need to be there, you need this, just tell us. But through this experience, I think moving forward, when they do this in the future, they're going to have some other things in place, knowing what you guys as YouTubers require when you're doing that type of work. They
don't know what we need to make our productions, and they're really humble about it. Like, they were there as much we were there learning, because me and you had some questions, right? And that's what I'll talk about. Some of that too. We'll dive in a little bit deeper. So Lurch and I, we flew down there. Let's just keep going and get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. Flew down there. We actually stayed in Deadwood City. We did hook up, and you'll see it on the video. The other YouTubers that were down there, I'm not going to get involved with that too much just because it's on the video, but we hooked up with them at Rapid City Airport. Then they drove us to Deadwood City. Then it was dinner. And then I
was hoping for a nap, to be honest with you, because we've been up since 3 a.m. our time. We had about enough time to just get into our room, unpack, and then head off to dinner. Yep. Which was fantastic.
This was a head spinning trip.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
Not a lot of sleep to be had.
No. There was definitely not. And that's something I think we kind of expected that. But it definitely came to fruition that we weren't going to get a lot of sleep. So dinner, and then they gave us our first overview.
Yep.
And I know you're looking at comments too here and there.
Yep, I'm making some notes.
They gave us our first overview of the Pan America, because the next morning we were actually going to ride it. And so we got to ask a lot of questions and all that kind of stuff. And then it was off to bed. It was a very short night. Lurch and I took down a ton of film gear, as you can imagine.
Oh my God. You gave me a backpack that must have, it easily weighed probably what my hunting pack to go into the mountains for 10 days weighs.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how heavy that shit was.
Yeah. And two of them.
Yeah. You had one and I had, it had to be, am I lying if I said it was 50, 60 pounds?
I would have guessed heavier. 60?
It's at least 60. Yeah. I mean, my hunting pack, obviously I carry as much lightweight materials as possible when you're hunting, but it was as heavy as that.
I tried to get the lightest weight lenses and camera.
I don't think you did. I don't think you did. He had me that backpack and I put it on and almost fell backwards.
Dude. Yeah. So Lurch was a pack mule for me. And just a reminder, you guys, a lot of we're going to do an episode eventually and get in deep, but Lurch is full-time. He retired from his Leo job. If you haven't heard, we've mentioned it a few times, but he is a full-time chief operations officer of Law Abiding Biker Media now. Thank you. That comes from patrons. That's one of the ways financially that you support us so we can keep doing this. So thank you very much for that. And it's hopefully going to help us scale. And again, we're going to do a full episode on that. But so Lurch went down with me. That was his first gig. What a gig, dude.
Yeah, perfect timing. I retired in June. I took 6 weeks off, and I told you I'd come to work for you the 1st of August. And just, a few days after that, like a week after that, we're heading off to Sturgis. So great timing for me.
Yep. It was. And he went down as a production guy. He's learning a lot about running cameras and audio gear. I've thrown a lot on him because you got to wear many hats when you're a bootstrap company like us. We don't just you got to have multiple skills. So Lurch is picking up on a lot of that along with his COO skills. So, but anyways, I just thought I'd mention that in case you guys hadn't heard. So next morning, Lurch, it's time to get up and, get the bikes. Now we stayed in Deadwood City, right downtown, in the
Hampton Inn. Yeah, it's like the first hotel on the left when you pull into Deadwood.
Yep.
If you're heading from Sturgis.
They put us up there, and it was a car ride up to Sturgis because we went to the Harley display behind the community center there where they always are. And they had the whole back lot of the community center. They just had lines. We weren't the only ones. They did some other Pan America stuff down there. Like they had before we got down there, they had Jochen Zeitz, the COO or CEO of Harley-Davidson down there. And they had some kind of, I'm going to mutilate this, but they had some kind of Pan America owners ride where the first Pan America owners could enter a raffle, and they took 30 of them and they gave them a ride through the Black Hills with Jochen Zeitz leading, I think, some kind of event. So they had lots of Pan Americas
and they had a lot just for demo.
For demos.
They had like 4 or 5 different demo locations all around Sturgis.
Right.
Yeah, they told us they had over 300 bikes there.
Is that right? I didn't hear that. Yeah. You talked to a lot of people. I didn't. So yeah. So there's lots of bikes. And so we show up there and it's intro and it is go time. And I mean go time because Lurch and I, and I'll get into this a little bit, didn't kind of know exactly what to expect, but I had a good idea of like the shots and stuff that I wanted. So we'll get into that here. Let's do this just real quick. Like, hey, bikeaholics, searching for new and exciting motorcycle products? Zero3D has the products you dream about for your bike. Check out their wide variety of innovative products for Harley-Davidson and Honda Goldwing motorcycles. Zero3D's got your back with chrome and black parts, lighting, and other comfort products. No modifying, cutting, grinding, or welding for an easy installation. That equals less time installing and more time riding. Zero3D has a design team of riders with over 40 years experience with a passion for design and innovation. Zero Gold Strike are the motorcycle LED lighting innovators for CAN bus plug-and-play compatibility. They pride themselves on great customer service. Got a question? Get in touch with them. Sales at zero3d.com or give them a call, 715-808-0027. Check at your local Harley or Honda dealership and ask for Zero Gold Strike parts. A new leader has emerged. That's right. So check out Zero3D's custom line of Gold Strike products for the all-new Honda Gold Wings. All you Gold Wingers, better yet, help support us. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and check out our full line of Zero3D products. There you go. So it was freaking go time. And Lurch had cams. I had all of the stuff that I felt I needed. So we did a little, I guess, preliminary shots there of getting the bike set up, and I also want to go into the review on this. It's got a lot of different adjustability. Here's the deal. I didn't know what exactly. I'm going to save that. I'm going to save it.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Put a pin in that. Let's do this. So let's just talk about, while we're filming there, let's talk about some of the first impressions and adjustability of that bike. So this bike comes with 3 different seats. It comes with, I forget what they call them. Do you remember? Well, essentially, in layman's terms, there's a short guy seat,
right? And which I did not have.
Nope, you had the standard.
Thank you.
You had the standard seat, which, interestingly enough, can be put into 2 different positions. So all
of them can be put.
That's true.
In 2 different positions.
The low seat is what you would think. It's a little more scooped out, has a little less to it, and sits you down in the seat. The medium seat's a little bit flatter, and then the tall boy seat is it's built up a bit, and it actually isn't. Because it's built up, it's not quite as wide, I don't think. I don't know how comfortable that one would be.
Right.
But what they were telling us is that the majority of people are going to be fine with the stock seat because you can go up or down an inch. So you can lower it an inch from stock. But if you want to get farther than that, you have to use the low seat. And then if you want to get taller than the standard seat, you have to go with the tall boy
seat.
Yeah.
Mine was medium.
And you...
on the lowest setting.
On the lowest setting, yep.
And I was flat-footed.
When the adaptive ride height was working, it you come to a stop, you were able to be flat-footed. And you said you're 5'8".
5'8".
5'8", yeah. So
Inseam
for
of
your average guy.
30.
Yeah, your average guy, I think the stock seat is going to be fine.
Yep. It's like the standard Harleys, basically. It kind of seemed like that height with adaptive ride height on, which we'll get into a little bit more.
Just to answer one quick question.
Yep.
Rick's Big Daddy Kane is in
Big
the
Daddy.
house. He wanted to know, do you think he would need the tall boy seat?
Forget, what's his height?
Oh, he's about 6'5".
Yes.
6'6", 6'5".
If I were you, Big Daddy, based on some other guys that were there.
We had a guy that was 6'8", and he had the tall boy seat.
And if I were you, I would get the tall boy seat and I would save the money because you don't need it. I wouldn't get adaptive ride height. You could save money because that's an extra feature. I think that's what most tall riders will do because you're already flat footed. So tall boy seat, save the money, don't get adaptive ride height on it.
Well, unless you're not as flexible like myself and you want to be able to get your foot up over it.
Maybe.
It just
talking
be comfortable
an inch.
to mount. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like your KLR is 34 inches. And I mean, you got to really swing especially the panniers. Even me. I mean, I got to really swing my leg up over it. So it'll be easier to get it on and off.
Matt Haywood, we're going to talk about that. He says it was pretty funny watching y'all ride two up. We'll show you a clip of that.
I have not ridden on the back of a motorcycle since I was probably 5 years old. 6 years old behind my dad.
Did you see Lurch in that video? I had to cut it. He was trying to give me a reach around. I'm just saying, dude.
And when you're on the back of the bike and you got the tiny little shit up front steering it, it doesn't instill a lot of confidence when the guy in front of you.
I'm not going to lie to you, Lurch.
100 pounds lighter.
You grabbed me around the waist tighter than I thought you were going to.
I did it for cinematic effect.
You were in my loins a little bit.
Was I?
You were getting up in my business, dude. I got a little tingly feeling. I got a tingly feeling.
I trust you fully, but still, I haven't been on the back of a motorcycle a long time. And so, being a bit of a control freak, it was hard for me to sit back there.
Oh, I bet.
And just hold on to you and not the handlebars. It was a little unsettling.
I'll leave it to Matt Haywood to bring that up. We want to talk about that. It was funny. Then we'll give you a little clip if you haven't seen it. So
adjustability. So the seat.
The other thing that for tall guys, since we're talking about tall guys, Big Daddy Kane, you would want to get the risers right away. So if you're going to be tall, or if you are tall, the risers, the tall boy seat, no adaptive ride height, you're going to be golden. And then some of the other adjustability that we did is the brake lever, right side. You can actually pull it out, spin it. There's two different hands, no tools. You can adjust it. It basically lowers it, raises it 1 inch. I like this, which I think Harley, just me, should have been putting on all touring bikes for a long, long time. That's adjustable brake levers and clutch levers. There's 5 different positions. The Pan America has it. One of my big things, guys, and I said it on past videos, is one of my biggest things is I hope some of these features and technology bleed over to the touring line.
I have a strong feeling it will. We tried to put the Harley reps in a position where they, we didn't put.
We were serving them drinks.
Yeah.
We were buying them drinks and trying to get inside information. They're pretty good.
They're smooth.
They're like CIA, bro.
Yeah, they wouldn't answer our questions.
They were like CIA. No, they were laughing too because they knew what we were trying to do.
But just by the way they were acting, obviously they can't confirm or deny some of this stuff's going to end up in the touring line, but I have a pretty good feeling that some of this stuff will.
Yep.
Like the adjustable levers and the adaptive ride height even.
Oh, adaptive ride height for shorter riders would be huge. They know they can do it now. Even if it was an add-on. I don't think it should come on every bike because it can be expensive, but they certainly could have it as an option for shorter riders instead of trying to do suspension and seats and all that kind of stuff. So adjustable brake levers. I just did the regular bars and the regular seat. Like I said, everything's made for 5'8" guys, right? Like we're pretty lucky, more average size guys. The bike was
Must be nice.
So, yeah, it is. The bike was set up for me well, just that way. And I did have the adaptive ride height on it. Of course, I could have went with the lower seat, but I would rather have the adaptive ride height. Reason is, it's nice to lower like that. And I'm trying to think, if you didn't have the adaptive ride height, you wouldn't lower, you would still have just as much clearance. So I would say 5'8" or smaller, I would just get the adaptive ride height. I liked it because you're setting your sag, right? We want our sag to be set 30 30% of our suspension travel, right, guys? We've done sag videos and how to set your preload on our YouTube channel, so check that out. But so I won't get too deep on that. But basically what that means is when that bike gets going, it's raising 1 to 2 inches, right? Because we're setting sag and preload, which gives me the right amount of clearance. So if I didn't have adaptive ride height with the medium seat, then I wouldn't be flat-footed. But as soon as you come to a stop, it's lowering. So if that makes sense. So basically I could get a lower seat, but I still may not be able to be flat-footed. I didn't try that. I would just say 5'8" or smaller, go spring for it if you can afford it. But you don't have to. I've ridden the KLR, for 2 years now, and I definitely don't sit flat-footed on that. But it is, sometimes you stop on hills and rocks and it can be a bear, and you can drop it obviously more easily if you're not, flat-footed.
And with the adaptive ride height, it's constantly checking. I can't remember how many times a second they said it's checking that sag, but it'll adjust even if you fuel up.
Yeah.
If you
it's
throw
adjusting
stuff in your
30%
panniers,
all the time.
you throw a guy like me on the back of it.
You put a big ass man on the back of your bike.
a giant man, I think is what you referred to in the video. So it's constantly adjusting and getting that sag just perfect. I if you can spring for it, I think I would regardless, just because of that technology.
Yep. Remember, the regular model does not come with that, but it has the standard manually adjusted. So you can, like I said, we did a video on it. You can manually set your sag, your preload, but every time you do a passenger, like Lurch says, or you throw on more gear, depending on how much you do, you want to reset your sag. So this is always doing it for you on the fly, electronic, amazing, but you could save some money on the regular model, which also doesn't have adaptive ride height at all, obviously, because
that's fair.
It's manual. So, all right. Good question, Big Daddy Kane. All right. So that was some of the adjustments we did right up. Now we were running knobby tires. They've got 2 different tires that you can run on the bike that are recommended through Harley. You can do the more street oriented, or I was really glad they had the knobbies for us, because that's what I run. If I'm going to get this bike, it's going to be for a specific reason. If I did get it, I'm not saying I am getting it. If I did get it, for me, it's off-road. It's for off-road. If I'm going to tour street, cross country, I'd rather be on a touring bike, a regular Harley touring. If you're going to stay, to me, that's just me. It's a great street bike. It's fun, but you're going to be way more comfortable on a Harley touring. They're set up for that. They're made for driving from here across the country.
Nice big
seats and saddle fairing. I mean, that's the bee's knees. I wouldn't replace this if all I was going to do was street touring. I absolutely wouldn't, unless you have lots of money and you just want it for fun. But if you're going to do a lot of off-road, more off-road than on-road, then this is just my opinion. Then I certainly would get it for that. It's a great bike. So anyways,
you would run the knobbies.
I would run the knobbies all the time.
So it was nice to
I got a street bike for riding street, and that's my point. Yeah. I would never trade my Street Glide Special for going to Sturgis or going West Coast trip. Hell no. This bike, to me, you buy it because you want to spend more. Now, some people will disagree with it. I'm just telling you my opinion, because it's just not. These type of adventure bikes, they're set up different. They're not forward controls, your mid controls, you're sitting different. It's just not. Why do you see adventure bike guys standing all the time? There's a reason.
Their ass hurts because they're not sitting on the
we stand
saddle.
a lot when we're riding aggressively off-road, but I'm just saying on the road.
Yeah, you see them just going down the road standing up.
Yes, there's a reason for that.
The seats aren't as comfortable.
And your knees lock up because you can't stretch out. So it just is what it is. But if you're, again, there's lots of people that will get it just for street. Cool. That's just my take on it. I'm no spring chicken either. So with that said, that's some of the upfront adjustability. It does have an adjustable windshield, which was one of my cons on this bike. It's a very refined machine. It is very refined, sexy. I'll tell you more here in a minute. But the one thing I found is I was like, this whole refined bike and the windshield is a manual adjust, which is fine.
Kind of clunky too.
But it seems clunky.
Yeah.
And you'll see it in the video. It just seems like, wow, everything is like almost perfection on this bike. And then you decided to put kind of just a little bit, and it works fine. So don't get me wrong, it works fine and it does the job.
It could be better.
It just surprised me. Just could be better. And I think in future, models, maybe they'll upgrade that. So we took off from there, all adjusted. And this is where Lurch went down with me as a production guy, but we didn't get him a Pan America. Hopefully if
part of that was us, this is our first opportunity to do this and we didn't know what to ask for. Moving forward, I think we might have been able to get one.
Maybe.
But because we did ask them for a touring bike.
Because there were extras there.
Yeah. We asked them for a touring bike and they gave me a brand new Road Glide Ultra. And so I had, because that's what we had asked for. I think if we had asked for a Pan America, they probably would have. So moving forward, if, we know a little, we've, like you said earlier, we learned and they learned through this process.
Right.
But yeah, listen, I'm not bitching about the nice Road Glide Ultra Limited.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually made me want to buy a new bike.
Yep. But it did.
Yeah, when you guys took off, I spent a little time in Sturgis, went and visited Larry from Bug Slide and chatted with him for a while, and then got out and rode the bike, and then got back up to Deadwood so I could be there when you guys finished out. But I have a 2015 Road Glide and that 2021. Oof. It almost made me want to get a new one.
You were liking it.
Yeah. Sorry to sidetrack us.
No, it's part of the story. I love it. So yeah, anyways, we learned, they learned, we just wanted to get there. And so I lost Lurch for that day. Would have loved to have him along to help me with the production. So I was on my own when we took off with the rest of the reviewers. And I had what I could fit, my film gear, GoPros, my extra camera, regular camera, and everything I could fit in a backpack along with my bladder, my water bladder and all that. So I kind of packed lighter film gear. I didn't take a drone. And here's why. And this is something they're learning from us and we're learning from them. So we went off road. We ended up at a lookout point. Me going down there, I wasn't sure, we didn't get a ton of specifics. So I told Lurch, I said, we kind of have to take everything down there. And we did, clearly. Because I don't know what we're going to be allowed time for or what we're not going to be allowed time for. And I don't know if I want to hold the group up, and I don't know what they're going to be doing. I didn't even know if we were going to stop. It was a guided on-road and off-road tour. So I had a lot of anxiety going into it because I'm such a perfectionist on the way we do productions. And I was so stressed and anxious because so I took stuff that can get me by for that day. I wished I would have taken more now. And so they actually asked us, and I gave them feedback, and then we talked about it just at dinner. We would go out to dinner with them every night, the Harley reps, and they would buy our dinner and drinks. It was just wonderful hospitality. And we would get to visit, just really humble conversations, man to man. Yeah, it wasn't about
not all about Harley either.
Yeah.
Just a lot of bike talk.
Yeah.
Obviously, motorcycle enthusiasts.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And just connecting on a personal level. And so one of the things is we did make a stop, and some of the other guys brought some of them brought different equipment, and I just didn't even think that there would be time to stop and film. And this is what they were learning. And I kind of told them that, and they oh yeah, we're learning too. We don't know what you guys need. And they were really good all day about not rushing us. They leave enough time. It's not just riding. They leave enough time that I can get my cameras out and I can do a quick vlog or even set up tripods. I could have brought a drone. There was time for that. Day two, me and you got some other shots that we needed in drone stuff and the kind of way I like to do productions. But so I was pretty anxious, and I was excited though, because I'm in the Black Hills riding a freaking Pan America with Harley guided tour, so I didn't want to, in my mind, not take advantage or understand how great this situation was. But good, we learned and they learned. And now I know if we're lucky enough and blessed enough to ever get invited, to do another one of these, I definitely know the parameters and go down into it very informed on what I'll be allowed to do and what I'll have time to do. And we'll be better set up. I'll have less anxiety and more preparedness, so to speak. And they said, yeah, we didn't say a lot because we don't know either. Like we're learning what you need. Like how often do you need to stop and what kind of gear do you do? But they were really good. And so they're tweaking this. And so it sounds like this is going to be a continued thing using, YouTubers, and podcasters, to do this kind of thing. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I lost Lurch, but we rode it. I rode it all day. I forget how many miles we did. But we got to do, 70-30 on most off-road, a lot more off-road than on-road. This wasn't hardcore adventure riding. Me and Oscar do a lot crazier stuff around here. But we had you got to understand the YouTubers we went down with. To my understanding, I'm the only one that actually rides adventure. And I've only been riding, technically, I've ridden a lot of dirt bikes in the past, but I've only been riding my KLR for a couple of years now.
So you had some mixed experience.
I did. We had lots of mixed experience. Mm-hmm. And so they didn't want to take us on technical. I could have handled it, but we can't do that. So if you guys wonder, that's why it was certain roads and stuff like that. This wasn't an extreme adventure trip. We'll see. Maybe it'll get more technical in the future, but on future iterations. But anyways, that's why you see what you see. There's a mixed bag. A lot of these guys, I'm not sure if any of them had really they've been on dirt bike here and there, but none of them have actually adventure rode like this type of adventure riding on an adventure bike, like a full-fledged adventure touring.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we kind of ended up, but it was still beautiful riding through the Black Hills, and I still got to jump it a few times and, and got to get ahead of the pack and do my thing, and really haul ass, basically.
Test out the traction control and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take it out of all the modes. All right. Adaptive ride height. You can turn it off. If you guys didn't know, you can also delay it for 2 seconds if you're really smashing it and you're worried. But it's so seamless. It doesn't happen before it happens as you're stopping. It senses throttle, clutch, brake. It just knows.
Can you feel it at all, or it just happens?
It just happens.
It's just that smooth?
It's like that smooth.
Huh.
It's seamless. Unless the bike's stopped, and you'll see in the video and we do it, then you can tell. But as you're doing it, you have no idea that it's actually going on. But be aware of that.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was really cool. All right. Need to wet my whistle.
You want me to do this one?
We got anything going on in the chat that you want to bring up real quick before we do that?
They're just trying to get me to sell my bike to Tim.
Oh, nice, dude. Nice, dude. That's what you get, dude.
Matt Haywood's trying to get me to sell it.
That's what you get. I'll do it. Would you do me a favor and grab me a cold one?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just about dry.
Executive assistant is also part of my job.
Yeah, buddy.
Also known as Ryan's bitch.
Here you go. Be back quick. Are you searching for the easiest and quickest attachable luggage system for your motorcycle? Rick Rack has just what you're looking for. Forget all those frustrating straps and bungee cords that can come loose and slap your paint. Check out one of Rick Rack's awesome quick attach strapless luggage rack systems. This father-son team designed something really special. You can't find it anywhere else. Yep. And these guys ride, so they truly understand the needs of bikers. The Rick Rack quick attach system is strong, durable, and secure with a lockable system. Also, check out their full line of quality touring bags to accompany your quick detach system. Once you use Rick Rack, you'll never go back. What are you waiting for, Bikeaholics? Head over to the Law Abiding Biker store and check out our full line of Rick Rack systems and bags. There you go. Just the right time. Lurch is back. So, with that said, guys, get Lurch back in the frame here. With that said, a lot of riding, a lot of experience. They took us for lunch. It was really cool. Here's a couple things I take away from it. We're doing good on time, but we got a hard time to get out of here today. But it's a spunky bike. That Revolution Max 1250 cc, liquid cooled, dual overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder. It's an amazing piece of engineering, if you will. It's a very snappy, peppy engine. It likes to rev high. It's like 9,000 redline. Once I figured it out, you guys will see in the video when I really start revving it. Now, my bike had aftermarket, or I guess not aftermarket, but Screaming Eagle exhaust add-on. It was, so what I found is this bike, it revs, it feels good. You get just the amount that I like of feedback and the pegs and the grips, heated grips on the bad boy, cruise control, all that kind of stuff.
It doesn't like to chug along at 2,500 RPMs like a cruising bike. You got to get it up around what, 4, 5?
Oh, it really comes alive at about 6.
Yeah.
But as soon as if you're up over 4 or 5, you'll start feeling it. And then when you get up to 6, you can hear it in the video. It sounds great. It's a 60-degree V-twin, not a 45.
Right.
So remember, this engine too is a stressed member of the frame. So they actually had the motor, and it's part of the frame. They built the bike around the motor, and that's to bring down weight. And it's really cool to look at the way it sounds, the way it feels, the reviness of it. It was amazing. It's got plenty of torque, 94 foot-pounds of torque, 150 horsepower. It's a beast, man. On-road, off-road, you've got all your different modes for it, which we can get into here. I'm trying to find if this is a good time to get into modes. But so just engine, amazing. Had the knobbies on there, plenty of power. You can romp on the thing. I just had a ball. I mean, once I got into riding it and stuff and getting better with it, it feels like nothing else. You can't compare it to the sound, the feel of any other Harley that you ever ridden, because it's not. It's a brand new platform. They didn't steal or borrow from any other platform. They took that bike, they built it from the ground up. That includes the motor or the engine, the frame around it, every component on that thing. And that's why they really got to be innovative. The engineers, talking to Josh Richardson, who had a background, he's dealer readiness lead now, but he had engineering before he moved into this position, and he was really able to break it down for us and talk about how much leeway they had on the design of this bike, not having to, because when you're working off other platforms, you got to take it like a different frame that you've already used, and then you got to tweak it for that bike. They didn't have to do any of that. So that was pretty amazing listening to some of that, just what went into making this bike. So with that said, anything else, Lurch?
Just looking back or thinking back at some of our other podcasts and videos on the Pan America, some of the questions that were coming up. One in particular was, do we think this motor is going to be used in other bikes? We asked.
It already is the Sportster S, but
let me be more specific whether or not we'll see it in like the touring bikes. And we asked the reps, and of course they could not confirm or deny. And I don't know that we would see it in a touring bike, because one of the things I also learned in talking with Paul and the techs is they want the rider to have a certain experience when they're riding a bike. And there's, a Harley has a certain sound and a certain feel. And I'm not saying we won't see this 1250 sometime down the road in a touring bike, but I just don't know if we will right now, because it is a higher revving motor. It doesn't have that sound and that vibration, that shake, and it's very it fits very well into the Pan America, but it may not necessarily translate into a touring bike. So we'll see in the future if they use in some more of the bikes other than just the sport bike line. But I think it would be a pretty cool motor. What do you think? You rode it. Do you think that motor would be cool in a touring bike or no? You think it's too high revving? And
well, I'm on a non-disclosure agreement because one of the reps actually told me, but I had to sign an NDA, so I'm teasing. That didn't happen.
I was just say, when did this happen?
After hours, bro.
You rode the Pan America. What do you think? Do you think it would be a fitting motor for a touring bike, or is it just it revs too high, it's too smooth? It'd just be it'd take away from the experience of being on a Harley and a touring bike.
Yeah. All the above, none of the above. Here's what I think based on my gut and just understanding of Harley-Davidson, the industry. I don't think your touring bikes are going anywhere. I don't think that, the regular V-twin, that look, that feel, this is what a lot of people think, that Harley's completely changing. This bike is just a bike that's added to the fleet.
Right.
This doesn't take away from anything. It doesn't change anything other than Harley-Davidson made a badass adventure bike, okay? That's what changed. I don't personally see this motor going into our current touring models. Could it happen in 10 years? They're going to have something new by then. Depends on federal regulations, right? All that stuff, emissions, who knows what could happen. But I don't think Harley has any intent on that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really don't.
There's
too many customers, like you said, They want this street glide. They want your road glide. It's traditional. It's still their number one sellers, has been forever. If they change that, that would just, so I see them introducing in things like the Sportster S, maybe a Fat Bob down the road or some, some other
More
new
the
model.
sportier
Right.
models.
Yep. I see them doing that. And I've went back to it. Like, guys, on a touring bike, like, how much power do you need? And I get that. And I said it on my Indian review and some guys got mad. I'm like, it's cool. But we're there. Like, we tour cross country. I don't have any problem passing trucks. I stay up with everybody. Like, it's a touring bike. So if you want to haul ass and do wheelies, well, then get the Pan America or get the new Sportster S or, with the Revolution Max motor, if that makes sense. Touring bike is a touring bike. Of course, we all like torque and power, but there comes a line with a touring bike. Like, that's what it's for. So just enjoy it and get your bar hopper. Like, I have the Dyna Lowrider S, right? If I want to go haul ass and peel out and do all that, then I'll ride that. Does that make sense? They're not going to change anything with the touring lineup.
No, it's pretty difficult to have a one-and-all bike that does everything that you want it to do.
Right.
You're better off to have, if you can afford it, to have a adventure bike, to have a touring bike, to have a bar hopper. If you want those things, you're better off, I think, taking a bike that's meant for it, like your Dyna Lowrider S, and hopping up that thing and hauling ass, and then having a touring bike that's comfortable. When you get crazy and put too many mods on those engines, I mean, they only last for so long when you hop them up and make them that hot.
Right.
So what I was going to say is, most people have been very positive about the Pan America, but every once in a while you get those people that say, "Oh my God, Harleys, they're
dying.
They're dying.
Yeah.
They're just motor da da da." No, you don't have to like every bike. I don't like every bike Harley makes. I don't.
Like, Harley has to please you with every bike.
Every
right?
bike.
Right.
It's like, man, you're only going to like certain ones. So just to close that out is set the bike up for what it's meant to be. A touring bike's meant to be comfortable. An adventure bike's meant to go off-road. A bar hopper's meant to be loud and haul ass. So stop trying to get yourself the one bike that'll fill all your needs, because it never will.
Yep. And Matt Haywood says in here too, he says, I think the M8 Milwaukee 8 will be around for a few more years in the chat here. He says, then they'll transition, but I'm excited about adding some new technology to the touring lineup. I can agree with that.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. And it seems like about every 5 years, they make some major changes.
So they may beg, borrow, and steal some from the Revolution Max 1250, but it may be a different package. It may be they may transition out of the M8 and into something a little more modern, but I don't think that they're just going to take that engine and slap it in a touring, if that makes sense. They didn't do that with the Sportster S.
No.
It's actually it's a version of the 1250, but it's got a little bit different specs. So they didn't just do that. So I don't think that they're going to do that. Good conversation though. And we'll see what the future brings. So let's talk adaptive, or let's talk ride modes real quick. I tested a lot of those guys, and here you go. It's amazing. And here's what I say, and I said it in the video, is if you are, here's the thing about the Pan America. So I'm riding a KLR 650, and I'm not comparing the Pan America to a KLR 650. They're different segments of the adventure market. The Pan America is an adventure touring bike. It's a bigger, heavier. It's not for single track, crazy stuff, all that. In fact, some areas, the KLR is more suited for than the Pan America. The Pan America is for fire roads. It's for Forest Service roads. It can do some off-road, of course, Jeep trails, depending on how rutted and crazy they are, but it's a heavier, bigger touring bike. So put it in the category. It's like, I said in the video, we've seen a lot of thumbnails, YouTubers, these motorcycle magazines, somebody jumping it way high, like a Superman seat grab bullshit. It's clicky stuff and it's cool. Yes, the bike can jump, but it's not made for that. Go get a damn dirt bike if that's what you want to do. Cause they kind of took this bike out of context. And that's why I try to bring reality to it from a real world biker perspective. Who is this for? And yes, I jumped it, but you're not going to do any crazy ass jumps on this thing. That's not what it was made for. It's for touring. But yes, it's got great suspension, and yes, it can handle certain terrain, but it's heavy. It's a heavier adventure bike, no heavier than the BMW 1250. That's what keeps it in this touring category. So go get a little KTM or something like that if you're going to be really ripping it up with tight trees and single track and you want to do, tons of wheelies over big things and all that kind of stuff. There's different segments of the adventure market. So what I like about the Pan America and what I'm talking about my KLR is it has nothing. It has no ABS. It has no electronics, no crazy, suspension, adaptive ride height, no cornering enhanced ABS, no drag, slip, torque control. It's got nothing.
No traction control.
It's basically a bigger dirt bike made for touring. You put some panniers on it. And so everything that I have to do on that bike is me. I have to pay attention to every single gray area and not brake too hard and not shift down too hard and slip out. And going up hills with rocks, I got to feel everything and make sure I'm doing traction control and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot more work. And I think there's a lot of Harley riders that have thought about getting into adventure or off-road, but they're scared of getting hurt or they're scared of it because they don't understand it. What I see from this bike is, and I'm telling you, just putting it in off-road mode, just regular off-road mode, it negates everything for you. And it gives you, it was so weird to me because I'm used to being in charge of the bike and all controls and feeling. And this bike, I had to just lay back and trust it. And so I still wanted to ride it like I do my KLR. But once I got used to it, I was like, I just freaking floored it and it just straightens out, traction control, bam, ABS front and rear, all that kind of stuff. The drag slip torque control. So you can just shift down like a madman. You can basically ride this like you freaking stole it and not have any real experience with off-road. And for the most part, on gravel roads and Forest Service roads, you're going to feel like a champ. So I can see this getting those guys that I mentioned into adventure riding, and you can start slow and know that the bike is going to save you and you're not going to have to do all that at first. And then if you want to progress and become a better rider, you can start taking those safety features away. Looked like you had something to say.
I was just saying, you want to explain that torque slip?
Oh, basically, yeah. I said if you shift down too quick, y'all know if you are coming into a corner, how I've done on the KLR, and you grab one too many gears down and then you let out the engine braking, will lock that back tire up and you'll slide your ass out.
Yeah,
and,
the tire can't spin as fast as you're going.
Right, right. And so the Harley Pan America figures all that shit out for you on the fly, real time, crazy. You go around a gravel corner and you give it too much gas and you feel it start to slip. And on the KLR, I always have to back off the gas a little bit and clutch and feel it. The Harley, I just had to get used to just floor it. And all of a sudden it just did it all on its own and straightened out. And I was down the road to a degree. You could get a little too crazy.
Oh yeah.
But for the most part, it was so hard for me to trust that. Because
it also adjusts the input from the throttle as well. It's a little softer, isn't it? Too. Oh, so like when you're bouncing around and on the gas,
all your different ride modes change everything, and then you can customize them. It's changing throttle response, the drag slip, cornering enhanced ABS, front wheel lift mitigation, which means you can't wheelie, which we'll talk about in a minute. So yeah, it's everything. And then you go into sport mode for street, which was a lot of fun. And it's sporty. And then there's just a regular road mode. And you instantly, when you go out of that mode, you realize the damping gets different, the throttle response for just road, because that's just for like touring. It's going to be your best gas mileage. It's the most comfortable ride, so you can sightsee. Then sport is if you want to rip it up around corners. You've got rain mode, which I didn't really feel the need to test. So
definitely gets your Harley rider that wants to get into adventure bikes. This bike would give you all the safety features you need to feel safe and learn. And like you said, as you get better, then you can start backing off some of these safety features or never have a little bit more fun if you want to.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And go, okay, I want to get better at this. Now I know what it feels like. I'm going to try to do this myself. Because there are benefits to controlling everything yourself still.
I hadn't ridden a bike with the traction control stuff on it, but that 2021 Road Glide did.
Remember I told you, turn it on, bro.
Yeah, because we were pulling out from some service roads and we were needing to get on it. And as we're pulling out from the road, and actually I was just leaning and accelerating, and I think because the bike noticed that I was leaning and accelerating pretty hard, I saw the traction control light flashing. I never felt what it was doing, but it was working. It's pretty impressive technology.
Yeah, it is. And so bringing it over to the different touring models too and stuff, which is nice. Yeah. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about off-road plus mode, which is the holy grail. Holy grail of modes, which I think I might have been the only one that tested that. I'm not sure. So basically, you can get full manual control back over this bike within certain parameters. You have to be, if you're going to take traction control off, and so they do say in regular off-road mode that if you try to wheelie it, it will wheelie a little bit, even though front wheel lift mitigation is on. It just minimizes it. But if you want full control of this bike, you got to go in off-road plus. The only way to do that is be stopped, because you're disabling safety features and they want you stopped. And it's you have to hold a switch and you're going into it. You can't do all the rest of the modes you can do on the fly. So if you get off pavement onto the road, you just go into sport mode. But off-road plus, this is the one I was most interested in. And I did ride quite a bit in it, just so I could really know that I had full manual control of this bike. Basically, by shutting that off, you can still have traction control on, even in off-road plus. But if you want full manual, you got to turn off traction control too. Then the bike's yours. Now, what do you lose? I'm going to try to remember everything here. But basically, you lose front wheel lift mitigation and rear wheel. So now you can stop and wheelie. You lose ABS. You lose cornering enhanced ABS. You lose drag slip torque control, all that stuff. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. It basically gives you back the bike. And now you can ride it like I've been used to riding, and I can wheelie over stuff, and I could slide the tire out until I went down. You can lock the brakes up. The one thing about disabling ABS, it does disable ABS, but only the rear tire. On the Pan America, you can never disable the front ABS. It just won't allow you. Makes sense to me, because there's never, front ABS is only going to save your bacon. There's not really a reason that you would ever want front ABS not engaged, if that makes sense. Yeah, rear ABS, you want to slide it around, right? Mm-hmm. You want to come around a berm and slide it out, but front, it just makes no sense. So they didn't disable that. Me and Lurch did test it. I just did a really quick test in a parking lot. Yes, with all that disabled, I was able to wheelie it, no problem. So you can get up over logs if you're doing more aggressive adventure riding and wheelie over some stuff. I do that a lot on the KLR, where we just need to dip. Sometimes I just pop it because I don't want my front tire to slam in a big dip, and I'll just wheelie over it or something. But it worked great. So if you're concerned about that and you're an experienced adventure rider, don't worry. You can take full manual control of this bad boy. Be careful on that throttle, because that rear will come around on you real quick like. So those are kind of the ride modes. Yeah, and I think we pretty much covered suspension, adaptive ride height. Yeah. Anything else? Any questions going on in there before we move on to some other topics here? You haven't done one. Why don't you do one?
Ride longer and treat your ass with some respect already. Get hooked up with a premium butt buffer seat cushion. This company of bikers developed a super thin hospital-grade seat cushion made of solid and elastic materials, and it's unlike gel pads that can leak if punctured. The butt buffer, designed not to slide around your seat, fits all motorcycles and stalls in seconds, easily cleans up, and helps dampen vibrations. With plenty of models to choose from, they assure you'll have a comfortable ass while riding. Head on over to the Law-Abiding Biker store and check out our line of butt buffer seat cushions.
Nice. Speaking of butt buffer seat cushions, let's talk about this. We're going to talk about the Pan America and butt buffer, because it came up. I don't know what I did there. Have to figure that out later. So this is an adventure bike. I already talked about comfort. I have lower back issues. It's a good upright position. I felt it was more comfortable than I thought for an adventure bike. I definitely could ride it longer than I do the KLR. But make no mistake about it, this is a mid-control upright position, and your knees are going to get locked. Your ass is going to hurt. The seat was actually a lot better. I will give Harley credit. The stock seat was way better than I anticipated. But nonetheless, by the end of the day, absolutely, and I'm not just saying that, my ass was starting to get, and it does on the KLR too, it was starting to get, to where I wanted to stand up. I definitely, like I do on the KLR, I would definitely have the butt buffer if I ever got a Pan America. Definitely throw the butt buffer on there if you're going to do long days and touring and you're going to be sitting down a lot. Definitely a plus for that. So with that said, trying to think, Lurch, what I'm missing here on this bike. Ride position, seat comfort, brakes, Brembos. We got 4-piston up front, single piston in the rear. It's a chain driven. A lot of guys, not a lot of guys, I see some guys complain, shaft driven. And you know what? That's not that big a deal to me. It's a chain and they're easy to maintain. I don't know.
And some of those types of changes would have made the bike heavier and more expensive. So in listening to the engineers and the PR guys talk, some of these decisions are made to keep the bike a certain weight and to keep them more affordable. Well, we brought up the windshield, and one of the responses was, we could have done something, but it could have made the bike cost, several $100s more. We're trying,
right. They're trying to compete.
They're trying to keep the weight down, and they're trying to keep the price competitive. So, going with a shaft drive would have made it heavier and probably more expensive.
Yeah, possibility. And I don't know that the chain drive has been used for many, many years. It's still used on dirt bikes around the world as we speak right now. It's on the KLR. And so I don't know. That's kind of a personal thing, I guess. I didn't see a big drawback to that. So let's talk about the TFT, the infotainment system, in my using of it, which let's do that. And then we'll talk about day 2. So, the TFT display worked well the day that I spent a lot of time with it. I didn't have any glitches with it, but again, I only had it one day and I used it in between trying to pay attention to riding and everything else. It tilts. If you get a glare on it, it can have a white background, a dark background. The one thing to note here is it does not have, it doesn't need a WIM. So that's a plus. It's ready out of the box to pair with your headset. So any headset, you don't have to have a Harley branded headset. You can pair a Bluetooth headset with it. And then you can also pair your phone with it and get audio, phone calls, all that kind of stuff. It's all on the fly handlebars. You can touch it. It's also a touch screen to play display, but you can do it on your handlebars too. So you can keep your hands on the grips, ready to go. Does not have baked in GPS. But the way they're doing it is you basically run the Harley-Davidson app. And of course, we have a ride planner video, very awesome tutorial you guys all know about, lawabidingbiker.com/ride planner. You can plan your maps on ride. And then once your phone's synced to the TFT display, then you're running off your phone maps with the ride planner, if that makes sense. So you're going to need your phone, of course, get it up there with a biker gripper. You're definitely going to want, we did install a biker gripper, one of our beloved biker gripper cell phone motorcycle mounts. Of course, we actually put it on the demo bike so I could have it and my phone up there. So get hooked up with that. And then, so that's kind of how they're doing it. And yeah.
It didn't have a USB input. It had USB-C.
Yes.
Yeah, so you potentially have to get a different cable depending on what you have for your current cell phone if you're going to plug it in.
Yes. It's for charging output, an output for charging your phone, right. Or input. It probably both. USB-C is both. That's what's nice about USB-C. So, it did have that port on the side. Good to remember that. So you can charge your phone and all that. But yeah, and then you're running your maps off Ride Planner off your phone. I didn't get to test that. Just didn't have enough time. That will come hopefully in the future to see how well that system works. So be aware of that. What else on this bike, Lurch? TFT display. Oh, some of the other cons on it that I want to get to.
Yeah, why don't you roll through your list of
cons?
So
I wish the brake lever had a little bit more adjustment. It does adjust 2 positions, and maybe that's personal preference. I would have liked it to be able to adjust just one more lower because it seemed like it was pretty easy for me to get in the rears. I have that problem on the KLR too, though. So to be fair, my police bike too, I always want it a little bit lower. That's why on my personal bike, we did that extended Kiriakin brake pedal because I like it out and down a little bit more. That could just be my training and experience.
So you're talking about the rear brake pedal?
Rear brake pedal, yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I already talked about windshield. One thing I did find out, and I believe it to be true, talking to Harley reps, the way I understand it, is you got knobbies and you got street tires. Well, you run those at different pressures. Obviously, you run knobbies softer because you're off-road, you want more grip, more traction, you want to get over certain obstacles and things like that. So I learned that if you're going to switch between those tires, that the TPMS, it does have tire pressure management system, you're going to have to take it into the dealership and have that reset or calibrated so that it knows the new tires. I don't know the technology behind that, but it seems and I could be completely wrong, but I just feel like, how about you just let me set that? If you're going to use the Harley recommended knobbies and the Harley recommended tires, they should know what pressures they're supposed to be at.
So you just go into TFT and adjust it and set it for those tires.
Because they had put knobbies on my pan and they hadn't recalibrated. So they told me, so the thing was on the whole time TPMS, that it wasn't reading right. So I don't know. I wish they could do that because it seems weird to have to take it to a dealership to have that recalibrated for tires. And then the only other thing I noted, totally nitpicky, cruise control. Yeah. Yep. It's weird if you watch the video, but up front, it's kind of curved around to the front, but it's kind of up, down. And when you push down on the cruise control to, how you can go up and down on increment of miles after you get it set, you can just bump one and it goes up one or down one. Well, pushing down sped it up, and pulling up or back slowed it down. So it seemed a little bit counterintuitive to me. Seems like pushing down, like on our Harleys, Yeah,
let me paint a picture. So on your cruising bike, or maybe not your cruising bike, but any of the bikes with the cruise control on it, the cruise control is on the front of the handlebar, and you activate it with your thumb. So you flip up to speed up one, you push down to slow down 1 mile an hour. What they basically did, and I'm pointing at the camera so the folks watching here can see it.
Let me put the camera on you. There you go.
Perfect.
It's all you.
So it's in the front, and you push up to speed up, you push down to slow down. What they did is they rotated it around to the front of the control. So you're still pushing forward or up or down and back, but it just feels counterintuitive because it's on the other side of the front side of the controls. So as you're pushing forward, it feels to you like you were pushing down. And when you were pulling back, it felt like you were pushing up. So it felt opposite to you because they had rotated the cruise control from the front of the controls around, or the back of the controls around to the front. Does that make sense?
Does, totally. Okay. Thank you for the visual. Appreciate it. And the verbal visual for the regular listening audience, because everybody here could see it. So good job. All right. Let's, so with that, if there's any other questions, please watch the video, obviously, or pop them up in chat if I didn't mention something. Oh, my only other complaint was that stock, it comes with a pretty chintzy, to me, skid plate. Mm-hmm. Your battery and regulator rectifier are right up front. It's just where they position them. That's fine. But I feel like if you're going to do any type of riding like me and Oscar do out here, I'm always on my skid plate on the KR. Cling, cling, rocks, banging. If you're not just going to ride Forest Service road and you're actually going to be flinging, even if I was, I would just spring. Harley does offer a very beefy, not only radiator, that's the other thing, the radiator I didn't mention on the video, the radiator is exposed to the fins, and they have a radiator guard for it. I would just absolutely, if you're going to do any type of serious or a lot of off-road, spring for the beefed up skid plate, mm-hmm. Spring for the beefed up radiator thing. Then I don't see that there's going to be any issues with the battery or regulator rectifier or anything like that. So that was only one of my other complaints. It's not really a complaint. It was a concern, easily rectified. Just bring out the Benjamins. Bring out the Benjamins.
Pretty common with other adventure bikes
totally. Too. I did it on the KLR right
pretty
away.
Much all of them, you got to put some armor on them right away.
Yep.
They don't come with enough.
Yep. Unless you're just going to ride, like I say, regular gravel roads or something, you'd be fine. But any type of rocky environment or where you're going to possibly bottom out, I would definitely spring for those. So yeah, good point. We're not dogging Harley on. That's like every other adventure. You start farkling.
Yeah.
You start farkling, bro. I farkled a lot. So day 2, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, day 2 was our free day to go out and just do what we wanted to do. And we needed to get a lot of video that you had in mind that you hadn't been able to get on the guided tour. So I had that.
Lurch and I left no.
I had that Road Glide, and we wanted to get to a place that was scenic and quiet that we can get to. And we just took off out of Deadwood and headed south because we had reservoir that we had seen on a map, and we pulled off on this road, and ended up being a private road. And of course, we rode past the signs, but then we got to a point where the gate was locked, so we turned around, came back, and one of the locals was not too happy that we had rode down his private road.
To those rides.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah, no problem. So we left that area, and then we found a camping area is really what it was, but this day use camp, not really camping area, but more of a day use area, is called Strawberry Meadows or something like that.
You remember? I don't.
Strawberry something, yeah. And we pulled down there, and you took the because I had the touring bike, you took the Pan America down there. And you're like, dude, this is awesome. Get down here. And so we found a really cool. I don't know if you call it a lake, more of a pond. Yeah, just a beautiful background, man. And there's nobody down there. I mean, there's so many bikers out there riding around Sturgis. It was really, like you said earlier, sometimes things are just meant to be. This was meant to be. We got down there. We had this whole area to ourselves.
God led us there, I swear.
Yeah.
I swear, man.
We were able to set up and do our talking head part.
Yep. And a bunch of other stuff. We did tests in the videos.
Did some drone stuff.
Put the bike on its side.
That's right.
I really wanted to see what would break.
And I don't think I've ever seen any other person that's demoed one of those bikes put it on its side on purpose and check and see about the protection of it and whether or not you could pick it up.
Right. Yeah, whether you could pick it up in an adventure environment, which I did.
Yeah, so sorry, Harley. We gently laid the bike on both sides.
Dude, that bike, these are demo bikes. That bike had been down so many times before by people. Oh my God. Yeah, that's nothing. Yeah, it was, I could already see, remember, when I got that bike, it already had scars. It had a dent on the tank. These are demo bikes, and they've been down many times. So we just laid it on its side. I just wanted to see, like, legit, like, that's important to me.
Could you pick it up?
Yeah, can you pick it up? And better yet, if you're going to lay an adventure bike down, make no mistake about it. If you get into serious adventure riding, you're going to drop it. You're going to lose your footing on a hill. You're going to spin out on a rock and dump it. I don't want to be repairing parts. So how well did Harley protect this thing? Our results were very good. Watch the video. We actually give you shots. Lurch was down on his belly trying to get shots underneath it.
Laying in the gravel.
Getting
that shot, man.
Getting the shot. Lurch learned a lot through this production. He was all game. It was a hot day. We were up early. We had so many shots that we still needed to get because I had everything kind of what we needed. We went out late the night before going over, what do we need? We need this, laying it out, looking on Google Maps, trying to find locations because second day was just us free day. We had been to Sturgis. None of the other YouTubers, none of those people had ever been to Sturgis before. So they went and rode to Rushmore and did some other things, but I needed very particular shots for my production, our production. So me and Lurch went off on our own.
This was a very distinctly different trip from the year before. The year before we rode out with the boys, on our 10-day long summer trip and got to, really experience Sturgis. This was a down and dirty, fly in, get the job done and get out. So luckily you and I had already been there before, so I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything, not getting to go dink around and see some of the stuff. Yeah. Right. So that was a definite bonus for us. We were able just to focus on the job at hand.
Yep. And it was hot, and
wasn't that hot for me. It was probably hot for you because you had all that gear on.
I did. I had all my adventure gear on, plus my helmet, and Lurch was back there with a camera in his T-shirt.
Yeah.
But he did not bring water.
No,
he learned something.
That was dumb of me.
Lurch learned something.
I
Bring
just
water
about
on
got to
video
the point where I was
productions.
going to suck off your. No, that doesn't sound right. I was going to drink off of your water bladder,
dude.
I know.
Right there.
I stopped myself.
That's the clip you're pulling.
I stopped myself.
That's going to be the start of the podcast. You know how we pull clips, dude?
Oh,
you got to do that.
I don't know if I will. I was about to go grab your water bladder and take a drink off of that thing without even asking. I'm like, I am thirsty. So I definitely learned, be prepared, take some water.
We had all the film gear. Lurch just didn't have water. So,
and I had a touring bike. I had plenty of room. Yeah. Well, not plenty of room because I had all the film gear, but I had room for a bottle of water too.
Plenty.
Yeah, dumbass me.
Might be just good on video productions to take your own bladder backpack.
Yeah,
and just throw them in.
I've got one.
Because you never know where we're going to end up, and it's running and gunning. There ain't no time. We didn't stop. It was a grueling film production day. Hopefully you don't notice on the talking head portion and the picking up the bike, but I was beat and we just had to roll through and get the shots. Mm-hmm. We want to give you guys the best review we could of real life things. And I really feel like this bike can handle some, without going over all that, I really feel like it can handle going down quite a few times and not really breaking too much. If you go down really hard, maybe a mirror, But other than that, I think it's going to hold up well.
Yeah, it's got the hand guards that pop off so they don't break. It's got purposely built clutch and brake levers that have a groove cut in them. So if you were to actually hit the end of that lever, it would snap off, but it would give you enough a usable portion to get out of there. Yeah, they really thought about it.
Yeah,
it's well protected. Okay,
guys, you're listening or you're watching live, so we got to show you this. And I know most of you have seen the video, but we're going to show you this, and then Lurch is going to explain. This was actually one of the most grueling, most scientific experiments or tests that we did. It's dangerous. You have to be highly trained. It's hazardous. Don't try it. But we felt that it was very necessary to get the full understanding of the Pan America. So watch here. So Lurch and I left no stone unturned and decided to lay it all on the line for the next riding with a passenger test. And all I really have to report to you on this one is that the bike rode very different with a giant man on the back. All right. All jokes aside, we wanted to throw a little humor in it, so hopefully y'all enjoyed that. I know Matt Haywood mentioned a little bit earlier that for the listening audience, you'll have to watch the video at somewhere around 35 minutes. It's me and Lurch riding 2-up on the bike. And so...
all kidding aside, though, that adaptive ride height... all
jokes aside, it was I should have mentioned more on the test. Yeah. It was actually a valid test. I was laughing about it so much.
You added a 250-pound guy to the back of your bike. I mean, we were over 400 pounds between the two of us on that thing, and the adaptive ride height adjusted that quick.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about that is this bike is ready to go. And you throw a passenger one day and no passenger the next day, you got to constantly manually adjust your sag. So very nice, and hopefully... everybody found the humor in that. And that was getting towards the end of the day too. We were both tired there. And we had a shot list that needed to keep going. And so let me set this up, Lurch.
Okay.
Lurch, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Well, you actually can't answer it.
I can't?
No, you can't answer this.
Because if I answered,
why don't you talk about your experience with, I got to get through that. Dang it. Give me a second here, because it's going to roll a freaking.
Why do you put commercials in your videos?
Oh yeah, dude. I hand place all these commercials because, yeah, definitely, dude. Definitely. Let me mute this. Why don't you talk, Lurch, real quick about your experience with, are you okay still? I know we're going a little long.
We're getting close.
We're getting close. We're going to wind it down here.
I'll get home when I get home.
All right.
Mrs. Lurch is going to be waiting for me for dinner. We have a couple of friends coming over.
Nice. Okay. We won't be long at all. Why don't you talk about your experience you've watched the video now. Now I edited the whole thing, guys. And if you didn't know, I think I mentioned up front, it was a 50-hour edit for this video at 46 minutes. So that's about an hour per minute of video. And I'm a fast editor after doing this for 8.5 years. And I had written a story on vacation. I did a lot of the scripting with my family. We went down to Lake Coeur d'Alene and went down there, spent 5-6 days, but I couldn't get it off my mind. It's a big project. I wanted to do well. So I did do some editing in the evenings, but not a lot. I just started slapping some paint on the canvas, so to speak, slapping some stuff, trying to get an idea. I really didn't know how it was going to go. I started writing the script. But now... Lurch has done a lot of video productions here at Law Abiding Biker Media, but he's really, since he's full-time now, he's getting an opportunity to be more involved in the actual production and gathering of all the shots and things that we need, and organization of that, and the logistics of locations and what we're trying to do. He's done a lot of videos in the shop over the years of mechanical stuff. We're still going to obviously do a lot of that on the channel. We always have DIY videos. but those seem to be more linear and easier. And it's very clear what needs to go into it. So give me you've watched the video, you saw how I edit it, which maybe have been completely different from what you envisioned because of the randomness of the shot. So tell me or what went into it or what you learned or what insight you can give the audience as kind of a behind the scenes on a full production like this.
Well, just watching the video, it turned out similar to what I thought it would, just because you and I had been talking about the edit and kind of what you want to do the whole way through. I didn't know what footage you would use or not use. It's amazing how much footage we do take. And I don't even know, do you even use 10% of it?
This video on our documentaries, it's usually like maybe, 25, 30, 40 at the most.
Yeah.
But this video, we actually used a lot because it was exact shots.
Out.
Well, it wasn't completely scripted to
kind of planned. We knew what we needed.
We had a shot list the night before, right? So on day 2,
if we wouldn't have been as organized, we probably would have had to take a lot more.
Yes.
There's just a lot that goes into this type of production. Like I said, I've been involved with the filming in the garage, but that's pretty easy. We set up a camera, or you're using a camera freehand and walking around as I'm working on parts. But this takes a lot of scouting of locations and organizing your shot list and taking a lot of footage. There's just a lot that goes into it. I mean,
between drone, cams, regular cams, GoPros, tripods, audio, lavalier microphones, boom microphones, right?
I was just involved with the second day production.
Right.
So, I mean, then that was a long day and tiring for me. I can imagine if, I would have been involved with both days, my ass probably would have really been dragging. But one thing that I noticed about other channels, and not just the ones that were there, but just other channels in general, they don't necessarily go into the cinematic thought process that you do to make it more documentary style. You like to tell a story. There's information in it, but there's also entertainment in it. And for me, even like our summer trips, or this trip in particular, when I watch it back, I'm enthralled when I watch it. I watch the whole thing through. I don't fast forward or scrub through the video. It's very entertaining the way that you put it together. And there's so many different types of shots that you just don't get bored. So it's just well put together. So yes, it takes 50 hours of editing and a lot of work to get done, but I think the final product is so much better. And I think that's what sets us apart from a lot of the other channels. Yeah,
well said. And Lurch, I'm not going to lie to you. He was beat, but me and Lurch have known each other for so many years. Like, obviously it's not personal at all. But at one point he was like, I just saw the life suck. I literally looked at him, and we're just pumping, and we got audio gear, and we got this, and we're moving the bike, and I need this shot, and we got drone, and we need this, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just directing around what we need. And Lurch is still going along, but at one point, and he's also highly dehydrated.
Yeah,
so that didn't help. But I just saw like there was his eyes. He was doing everything asked, but there was no soul. And I think it was later. He goes, "Hey, just to let you know, it's not that I'm just to let you know, I'm still I do everything. But what'd you say? I'm beat, so don't think that I'm not interested in doing it." But remember that? And I was laughing. I was going, "No, dude, I saw the life sucked out of you," because I was we were pushing hard.
Yeah. It was just something you said, and I think I was, like I said, I was just kind of staring off into space. I was listening,
right? Yeah.
But you made a comment that made me understand that obviously the look I'm giving you, or my body language, is telling you I'm tired.
Right.
So I felt like I had to clarify, like, dude, I'm in.
And we know each other well enough.
We'll push through, but.
We've done harder.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And we talked about that. We both come from Leo background, and we're like, oh yeah, we pushed harder than this. And so if anybody thinks that you want to be a YouTuber and go for it,
it's a lot of work. It's fun, but it's a lot of work and tiring.
Depending on what you're going to do.
Right.
If you're just doing it for a hobby, then just go for it and have fun and make what videos you want. But as you become a bigger channel and people expect certain things from you, and you want to please your audience, and I'm very much into how a video flows and aesthetics, and like Matt says, a story. And so it can be a lot of work. Anyways, I was just interested overall, Lurch, about, what you thought overall about your first. And Lurch is going to be doing a lot of more productions with me. obviously in the future as full-time CO. He's getting much better with camera gear.
I still have a lot to learn.
Yes.
I made a mistake on exposure on a few of the shots that had to be fixed afterwards.
I tried to fix some of them the best I could. Yeah. That's learning. I learned all this the hard way, and I still mess up sometimes.
Check your settings every time before you film.
Exactly. Every time. Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it. And then I'm just starting to learn. I look forward to learning more, but I don't know that I'll ever get to the level that you're at, but I'm definitely going to get better.
Hell yeah, buddy. So this is the best portion of the video, in my opinion, because it's fun, people. So we don't want to take it too seriously, but we're going to play this section of the video because I had a lot of fun putting this one together. Let's roll it. All right. Oh, Lurch bought me a beer right here.
Long neck.
Oh, man.
I knew you'd be hot and thirsty after a long day of riding.
Yeah, buddy, I was too.
Don't book a cheap.
So obviously your chief operations officer is going to take care of you. I got the best beer that the hotel had in the lobby.
Looking up. This whole damn day is looking up. Just wait.
So I had a mission on our last day in Sturgis, and that was to be a good regimented Harley owner. And what do all good Harley owners do? That's right. We find the nearest bike wash and make sure our beloved Harley is washed up real good. And I'm fairly confident that I made history twice this day by taking the first Pan America through a Sturgis bikini bike wash and being the first person to take a demo bike back to Harley Reps clean and shined.
My tribe on the list. This is how we start the fire. This is how we start the fire. This is how we start the fire. This is how we start the fire.
Now, at the beginning of this documentary, I stated that the biggest question I've had since the release of the Pan America is, will the massive community of Harley riders accept this new adventure bike into the fleet? And the answer to that question, in my opinion, is yes. You see, Lurch and I met many bikers in and around Sturgis while we were there, and by far it seemed that every Harley owner I asked either wanted one or hadn't even seen one yet. And for those that hadn't seen one yet, they seem to have a positive first impression. So let me know what you think about the Pan America in the comments below. But to me, it's bigger and deeper than just looks and specs of the Harley Pan America. It's about deep-seated Harley culture. In my heart, I truly believe that Harley-Davidson just literally changed the Sturgis Rally forever, and in a good way. You see, Sturgis is an iconic event, goes back many years, and has a rich history of mostly Harley-Davidson street riders. And up until now, many Harley owners felt glued to the paved roads while unable to ride the vast and gorgeous Black Hills area and miles upon miles of gravel and dirt roads available to explore. I think as we move forward, Sturgis will morph into a larger event for both street and adventure riders and bring those two worlds closer together. And that's a good thing in my opinion. After all, regardless of what you ride, we all do it for the same reasons, on and off road. It's truly to free our souls, become one with our machines, just breathe, and meet with other like-minded bikers from many places and from all walks of life. And that's what the sport of motorcycling I love so much will always be about. Now get out there and ride, bikeaholics, every chance you get.
'Cause for a moment I'm alive. And for a moment I'm alive. For a moment I'ma spend my time feeling like every single thing's gonna be.
There you go. Oh, Lurch and I riding again.
Looking good.
If you guys are listening in podcast format, just regular podcast, the first part of that was a bikini bike wash. With that said, guys, I just kept that rolling because I thought it was a good way to really end this and give you my final thoughts. I really do think that Sturgis has changed, and bringing those two worlds together. The Pan America is an awesome bike. Right now, you can't even get one really. And it's hard to even find them. Even the people that have gotten them can't get the add-on parts because of manufacturing issues. I know
Which
Big
is
Daddy Kane, who runs our stores, in the chat, and he knows about
supply chain
issues, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah,
that problem's not unique to Harley. A lot of companies are having that issue, no matter what they produce. But the car and the motorcycle market in particular are having some tough times with supply chain.
Yep. If you guys ask, yes, I want one. I want one bad.
Me too.
But I'm also pretty frugal, and I got to make sure it makes sense. And honestly, I would never get it as a replacement for my regular touring Hardys. Those are near and dear. That's what I'm rolling on street. That's what I'm rolling cross country. That's what they're made for. But I have thought about, in the future, maybe, I just got to figure some things out. With the KLR, some of the things we do around here, it's a little more suited. And like I say, it's a new shiny object, and so I'm always very cautious of that, whether that's making a right decision. But if I had money to burn and finances weren't an issue, of course I would go drop it right now, drop the money down on one and have it all decked out and be smiling from ear to ear. It was a wonderful experience. And yeah, we thank Harley-Davidson, obviously reps who are very humble, and for inviting me down.
Thank you, Paul, Josh, Matt. Appreciate the hospitality.
Absolutely. We send them some gifts. And like I say, we'll keep rolling into the future, guys, with this thing. So we love our patron members. We want to get to know you better. We want you in the private Facebook group. We want to give you the benefits. But hey, if the only way you can support us is through a flat donation, we never balk at a flat donation. Roll Lurch.
We got Corey Kaiser of Jacksonville, Florida. Simon Cumberbatch of Hackensack, New Jersey, gave us a donation for our tutorials. And Clinton Havens with a substantial donation. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, very, very nice, guys. lawabidingbiker.com/donate is how they gave us a flat donation, and we appreciate it. It helps put a little fuel in the Law Abiding Biker gas tank.
So we can keep this thing rolling on down the road.
Big Daddy Kane in the chat there, going strong down in the store.
Got to work with him yesterday down there. Saw him in action. Saw the man, the myth, the legend in action.
I don't want to know what else went on behind closed doors in the inventory room of the store.
Never tell.
But yeah, I'm sure it was fun. It smelled like sex, I'm sure. Man and sex.
Cannot confirm or deny.
Thanks for being here, guys. Everybody in the live chat, all you patron members, it's been fun.